Come on, I ain't leaving you. Come on. So welcome back. Today we're going to cover posting our property and the rules and regulations behind that. I just don't see many people discussing it and why it's so important. So as the title says, it's absolutely sad that I have to even do this. We live in a world now to where people just don't respect other people's things, their property, whatever that may be. And we now have a legal system that tends to kind of want to side with the people that are breaking the rules. So long story short, what that means, if you want to cover yourself, especially if there's any kind of legal recourse for trespassing, damage to your property, whatever it may be, you better have your property posted. So what's got me in the mood to do this? My property used to be posted, and it still is, but over the years, signs fall down, they get pulled down, things just happen. They get grown in bushes, you name it. So something that really inspired me recently to go ahead and order in a bunch of signs and get this going. I know a lot of y'all watch a similar channel that I do, Daniel over at Arms Family Homestead. He just caught a couple people trespassing and literally shooting across his property. He got it all on camera. People were illegally hunting on his property. Literally shot right beside him and his son. That was wild. Some of y'all just brought up that you watch Lester over at I'm a Survivor Sanctuary. He's had some trespassing incidents, a couple that I can think of. So, you know, some of this stuff's caught on camera. What about all the trespassing that happens that we don't see or hear about? So I took the liberty today to go look online and do a little reading to learn the rules. By the way, you need to check up on that. Posting rules for trespassing is different in every single state, sadly. So let's discuss some of that so you're covered, and then let's go put some signs up today and I'll show y'all around the property. So first and foremost, anytime I'm trying to look up the legalities of things, believe it or not, one of the first places I look is not necessarily say Florida statutes. We're in Florida, by the way. I like to go to law firms. They are very particular. They'll normally give instances of rules, regulations, how they interpret them, how they've carried them to court, and they'll usually list the statutes as well. I do this anytime I'm looking up something legal. I tend to really trust the lawyers because at the end of the day, well, they're absolutely going to cover their butt. But I also read the state statutes as well to make sure I'm fully understanding it. So right now I'm going to read off some Florida statutes. This is posted land statutes, which applies to what we have here. So in Florida, as long as it's agricultural land, and guess what, we're zoned agricultural here, the signs have to be no more than 500 feet apart. That's relatively easy to follow unless you have a big open pasture. And I do have a section of that. There's also posting regulations here on the size of the letters. They ask for the letters to be 2 inches or larger, so keep that in mind. Every state's different. And let me preface all this by saying you can actually still take legal recourse without posting. However, it gets far more complicated, and it's sad that you even have to do that. People know when they are or not on their property, so it's just sad that we have to do this. But I suppose there are instances where somebody could venture over on land that they did not realize, and posting needs to happen. But keep in mind, if you really want to go take legal recourse on trespassing, you have a much better chance of succeeding with that if you're posted correctly. So it also states that, well, signs should be on the boundary. Absolutely understand that. They should be clear and legible, as in no brush, no obstructions, nothing around them. We're going to clear out some of that today too, find us some good locations to put up some of these signs. It also says at corners, I didn't realize this rule, you need to make for sure that you're posted on all corners, so a sign on either side. It doesn't give the distance there, but it sounds like reading it and wording it, it has to be much closer than that 500-foot rule. I guess that's so if you come up to a corner, somebody could literally be walking from this direction and not see the sign that you have posted this direction. There's also rules here that we have to be at least 3 feet above the ground, but no higher than 5 feet. So we have a 2-foot range that we have to work in. You also have to post no trespassing signs at all known entrances to the land. So this road here, for example, I have to post at the entrance of that. I have a gate on the back side of the property. That's an actual entrance. I also have to be posted there. So here's a rule I did not realize. According to Florida statute, it's not necessary to give notice by posting, doing what we're doing today, if your land does not exceed 5 acres. Well, I guess that's good to know. Smaller acreage, they can probably clearly see across, see a home, a dwelling, a structure on it. But I thought you had to post all land. Apparently not required, 5 acres or less. You also do not have to post on cultivated land, cropland, farmland, land that's been actually cleared and cultivated. And that can be orchards, that can be trees. So technically, I have cultivated land here. We cleared, we have planted trees, as it says right here. I technically do not have to post this. Land that is completely fenced with a fence that's 3 feet or higher, your standard agricultural fence will be. If it's fully enclosed, we're not there yet. You also do not have to post that because the fence is an actual known boundary that you should not cross. It's also not required to fence water. So if you have a large pond or a lake as part of the boundary of your property, that water can actually count as that boundary. And there's a few other special exceptions to the rule, but they don't really apply to us. So again, long story short, I technically, legally don't have to post, but according to the law firms I've read, you have a much better chance of taking that legal recourse when you are posted. And I can assure you, as much as I despise someone taking advantage of something that we worked so hard for, if somebody does trespass it, knowingly trespasses it, I'm 100% taking legal recourse. Okay, so now that we have the rules covered, I like to really be by the book here and make sure I'm covering myself and giving good information out to you. Don't forget, check your state statutes and rules on posting land. Let's go get some of this posted and enjoy what little bit of this cold day that we have left down here in Florida. All right, so there is a pond right here, and according to that law, the pond obviously doesn't have to be posted, but I think it'd be smart to post on the outside edge of the pond right here. Holy smokes, that's a big tree. Bummer. Looks like lightning struck it at 1.2 and it's starting to rot out from the inside. Well, we got all the signs out. Everything is up to the Florida statutes and law here. Hopefully we never have to use any of this in court. But sadly, we do live in a day and age where people just don't respect things like they should, and it requires doing things such as this. You know, something else I forgot to mention too, I don't think people realize how serious trespassing is, especially in a state like Florida. Believe it or not, the majority of the trespassing, at least around here, is people trespassing to hunt on your property. And in the state of Florida, if you trespass with a firearm, it's automatically a third-degree felony. Well, there goes your Second Amendment rights. There goes your hunting rights. That's a serious, serious thing. A felony is no joke. While I was also researching these rules and statutes before making this video too, I didn't realize if you trespass on a construction site and it's posted, that's an automatic felony too, whether you have a firearm or not. I guess it's because of the value of the equipment there or the nature of the work going on. There's all kinds of rules and breakdowns to trespassing. But long story short, it just isn't worth it. And we live in an area too, I would be scared to death to trespass on somebody's property or around their structure. And that's because everybody exercises their Second Amendment rights around here. You couldn't pay me enough to go trespassing on somebody's property, especially around their home. Not gonna happen. All right, well, hopefully y'all enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you learned something. I sure did, taking the time to read these rules and statutes. There's just some things there I didn't know. But now our property is properly posted and we're ready to move on to the next thing. Catch you on the next video.